Later that same life. From Larry Fedoruk.
Thank you for joining me on my new podcast, Later That Same Life, The Further Adventures of Larry Fedoruk. This podcast, at least at the beginning, will be a bit of a sequel to my previous series, I Was 8. Those were stories about growing up in the small Canadian prairie town of Wakaw, Saskatchewan. Some of these stories will also be from the old hometown. Others will take us all over the world. Some will be from the past, some from the present, and if I can figure it out, we may even travel into the future. Things that did happen, some that are happening, some that was then, some this is now. Where we've been, where we are, and how we got here. All part of this series. Opinions, insights, stories, later that same life. Let's begin. And if we're going to move away from I Was 8, let's begin with a major life shift. I'm starting this new series with this story because this was pivotal. The I Was 8 series highlighted a few childhood victories, but mostly, if you remember, it was about Larry, lovable loser. Well, hopefully lovable. That trend continued for a few years after I Was 8. But it's amazing how quickly your life can turn around. Sometimes because of circumstances you could not foresee or have any control over.
Season 1, Chapter 1. Taking Care of Business.
When I was 13, my life was transformed. Lovable loser bottom feeder to top of the heap almost in an instant. And all because David Sherman got a girlfriend. A serious girlfriend. Melissa. Or Alice. Or Alicia? I don't know, maybe it was Joan. Well, whatever. We're both seniors in high school, probably would end up getting married. And like Dad said, before you know it, she'll be knocked up. Dad, the hopeless romantic. How did David Sherman's hormonal evolution change my life? As long as I can remember, David Sherman ran the concession stand at our local movie house, the Gem Theater. I found out later that the original owners of the Gem couldn't really make a go of it, and the cinema was dark for a number of years. To the rescue came our local Lions Club, who leased it and reopened it for movies Fridays and Saturdays, Lions Club bingo on Mondays, and occasionally a live act played there. Hypnotist Ravine, or a crappy and western band, the Crappinaires, the Crap Brothers, Crap Wilkinson and his Crappy Cowboys. Well, none of them were very good, if you catch my drift. The Lions Club put a brand new purple and yellow sign up on the front of it, but it was always the Gem to us. And every time you went to the Gem, there was David Sherman running the concession. Small popcorn, large Pepsi, please. When the Lions Club opened the Gem Theater, they hired a projectionist, Mr. Morris, his assistant, Creepy Chris, who ran the movies when Mr. Morris was away, eventually known to all of us as Creepy Crispy, and they hired a local student, David Sherman, to run the concession. The deal, as I was about to learn, was that David ran it as his own business, paid a 10% commission of monthly profits back to the Lions Club, kept the rest for himself. David was hanging it up, retiring his popcorn maker to spend more time smooching it up with Alice, or Joan, or Shirley, or whatever. I was offered the position. I don't know why they picked me. I mean, I was a fine, upstanding, studious 13-year-old, but why me? Perhaps, since it was the Lions Club Theater, and Dad was member in good standing, he recommended me. Who cares? There weren't that many opportunities in our small town for a kid to make money. I took the job. A big meeting was scheduled. Myself, David Sherman, the president of the entire Lions Club, and Dad. I would have to purchase David Sherman's remaining inventory, buy a new popcorn maker, contact and set up accounts with the Pepsi guy, the candy man, and the popcorn salesman. What about popcorn boxes? Well, they come from the popcorn guy, along with the oil. Pepsi cups? Pepsi guy. Salt? Grocery store. Right. I'd have to open up a bank account and order checks. David Sherman recommended I also purchase a Hilroy notebook to use as a ledger, keeping strict records of all my transactions, expenses, sales, profits, etc. All the monies needed, by the way, came from the Lions Club. They would stake me, and I would have to pay them back over time, over and above my monthly commission fee. Wow, this is a lot, but I'll do it. I shadowed David for a couple of weekends until his retirement date, and then on the next Friday, when the gym doors opened to welcome patrons, it was me, just me, running the concession stand. I was now a local businessman. I got my own key to the Gem Theater. Can you imagine? My own key. Fridays, right after school, I rushed to my job, started making popcorn, pre-boxed about a dozen of them, popcorn and boxes stored in a large metal professional popcorn box with a light bulb in it to keep it warm. Yeah, I also had to buy light bulbs. Oh, yeah, I had to buy some cleaning supplies for the counter. Oh, yeah, well, anyway, soft drinks, soda, came from a small soda fountain device. 2 taps Pepsi, 1 orange, 1 ginger ale. I had to check the tanks, hook up the hoses. I had to stock the display shelf behind my counter, which contained a fine selection of chocolate bars, candy bars, licorice, and assorted bags of candy. I learned from David Sherman how to rotate the stock. In other words, when stocking some new O. Henry bars, take the old O. Henrys from the shelf, put in the new ones, put the old ones on top so that they sell next. To this day, when I'm shopping, I rarely take a product right off the shelf. I always reach behind it to get the one I assume to be newer. Doors open by 6:30 for a 7 p.m. movie. I was usually done my prep by about 6. And I remember that first Friday when I was ready to go. I sat back and surveyed my little theater concession and realized I had achieved my dream. After all these years, I had my own candy store. And it included all the free-flowing Pepsi I wanted. Well, David had warned me about the temptation of eating and drinking up all your profits. But during this process, I had been introduced to the concept of wholesale. You wouldn't believe how cheap it is to buy an entire box of Kit Kats, pounds and pounds of Twizzlers, huge tanks of Pepsi. I figured, what the hell? I can treat myself after working so hard, and I did. And often. What a delicious job I had. Dad taught me the concept of the float. This was another small initial expense. You can't just start selling stuff without money in the cash drawer. How are you going to make change? It's called a float. Good one, Dad. I'm learning so much. So every Friday and Saturday night, bartender Dad poured beers and sold bags of potato chips to the lowlifes down the street, while entrepreneur Larry was pouring Pepsi and selling popcorn to the gentry at the cinema. So how much money could a kid make in Waukesha, Saskatchewan, running the Gem Theater concession? Well, imagine today. Would you give a 13-year-old an allowance of $100 a week? No, it's too much money. But on a good month, I was making the equivalent of that back in the day. I was rich. The startup money I owed the Lions Club paid that back in the first month. David Sherman had been sitting on a gold mine this entire time. And now it was mine. All mine, I tells ya. Yeah, I had a good thing going and settled into a nice routine. 4 p.m., started making the popcorn, fold the boxes, stock the candy, plug in the Pepsi. Around 5 p.m., Mr. Morris showed up and went up to the projection room to begin his routine. He always asked for a small half cup of Pepsi, on the house, of course. And in about half an hour, he'd come back down with his cup and ask for another half. This time, his cup reeked of Hiram Walker. Same scenario when Creepy Crispy ran the movies, except more of a Bacardi aroma. I was always amazed the reels ran in the right order. Around 6:15, a lion, whose ever turn it was, would show up with his float, open up the ticket booth. Crowd came in, big sales, movie, cleanup, done, and locked the door by 9:30. I still had the whole night ahead of me to go hang out. And I had money. Big money. Folding money. One night, David Sherman came to the movie with his girlfriend, Melissa, Roseanne, Tallulah, whatever, and said I was doing a really great job. Thanks, David. Bag of humbugs on me. My friend Richard started to pop over when I was doing my prep. I wasn't supposed to have friends there, but I told the Lions he was my helper, which he really was. I didn't pay him, but he had his share of free Eat More bars, and we always experimented with beverage combinations. Pepsi and orange and ginger ale, all three together. Less ginger, more orange? Yes, I believe you are correct. Richard had the only local paper route. He home-delivered the walk-hour recorder each Wednesday to subscribers. If he couldn't do his paper route one week, I would do it for him free of charge. We were friends. We helped each other. That was our deal. With the two of us going, we'd be done my prep super early. So about 5:30, I'd lock up, and Richard and I would wander down to the local cafe. What'll it be, Larry? Your usual? Pepsi and a chocolate bar? No. No, Mrs. Wintermuller. I own my own Pepsi and chocolate bars now. I will start with the soup of the day, a small salad, then the Salisbury steak, please, with extra gravy and mashed potatoes, if you don't mind. Then a piece of your angel food cake. Richard? The same. At the end of the feast, I got it. I picked up the check, peeled off a few bills. I've included a little something extra for you, Mrs. Wintermuller. Then we'd head back to work. Oh, every week we dined fine. Another real cutlet and a large chocolate milk, please. Would you recommend the fried chicken or the meatloaf this evening? What is your pie today? After closing down for work, we'd hit the town. Let's play pool. It's on me. Richard would say, hey, my older brother can get us a six-pack. Sure, here's the money. Here's a little extra. Tell him to get something for himself for his trouble. Oh, does he need some gas money? Well, here's a couple bucks extra. I was buying friends and influencing people. How my life had changed since I was 8. From loser to big spender. Fine dining and nights out on the town. Hey, where were my parents in all this? Well, their big mistake was trusting me. How's the job, Larry? Making any money? Oh, yeah, piling up the savings. I'm going to pay for my own university. Thinking of buying a car. And could the job get any better? Well, yes. It seems the adult moviegoers complain to the Lions Club about the kids constantly running up and down the aisle to the concession stand during the feature. New rule. The concession stand would be closed during the film. But about halfway in, it would pause for a 20-minute intermission, and people could then stampede the stand for more refreshments. How was this good? Well, 2 ways. 1, sales actually went up. And 2, since I didn't have to man the stand during the movie, I could go in and watch it. Free movies now. Intermission was always about 8:10. It could be in the middle of a reel. Didn't matter. Mr. Morris just hit the kill switch. The lights went on, and Richard and I were at our posts. So I saw all the classics. That Darn Cat, The Monkey's Uncle, How to Stuff a Wild Bikini. Then the Lions Club began bringing in these special movies that they ran for 6 nights a week. Dr. Zhivago, Ocean's 11, The Sound of Music. I saw the Von Trapp Family Singers 6 nights in a row. Lasted me a lifetime. But I was rolling in the dough. After 2 years of the high life, my parents announced we were leaving our small town, moving to Saskatoon. I cannot remember for the life of me the kid who took over, but by the time he bought my remaining inventory and I paid off all my leftover bills, when I went to close my bank account, the balance was $2.37. $2.30. You often hear these stories of people who saved all of their money, from their paper route or babysitting. Then they invested it wisely, created a smart portfolio, parlayed it, and retired as millionaires by age 40. Yeah, I guess those stories happened. Not me. $2.37. I'd spent it all. I regret nothing. Well, seeing The Sound of Music 6 times in a row. But otherwise, nothing. In Saskatoon, after a few months, I got a job at a car wash. Me and a few other idiots were the ones that wiped down the car after it came out of the blower. Minimum wage. Not even. Youth minimum wage, which was less. It was noisy, messy, and hard work. But there I was every Friday night and all day Saturday. Saturdays, we got a half an hour for lunch. And I would sit at the back of the car wash outside on an old oil drum, eating a sandwich I brought from home, drinking a Mountain Dew I bought from the machine. And I would think, man, how I miss show business.
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37 at gmail.com.